Chapter 2. The Paramedic Initiation. Eventually, my year of freedom on the farm was up, and in 2008 I was faced with another real-life adventure. I began my university degree in Brisbane to become a paramedic. I soon realised it was not like any ordinary university degree, and from day one I struggled with the huge amount of content and the many skills to learn. I chose to live on campus in an attempt to meet some good friends, and soon realised that university was more about socialising and getting drunk than actually studying. I had my own little room and shared a bathroom with 12 other people, male and female. Once again, my introverted personality got in the way, and it was a challenge to make close friends. But I found some people I could relate to, who shared experiences of boarding school and living in the country. One thing I really got involved in was the sport, and I gave everything a go. Soccer, tennis, rowing and squash, to name a few. It was this involvement that won me Sportswoman of the Year in my college. There was, of course, the other side to college life. The side that involved regular drinking, painful hangovers, and consistent noise and distractions that made sleep and study difficult. After a year of living on campus, I decided it was time to move into a share house and minimise the hangovers. Initially, I was house-sitting for my auntie on the south side of Brisbane. This was where I had my first paramedic practical. My end-of-year break was cut short as we had to do our 6-week placement in the summer holidays. It was this first on-road experience that really opened me up to the paramedic world. Being a shy country girl, I was in way over my head and did not settle into the role easily. Living alone with no close friends in Brisbane amplified all my worries and self-despair. It was certainly a wake-up call, a time of great independence and responsibility. To say that my first placement was a challenge is an understatement. Every day I would put on that uniform and drive to work, with thoughts of fear running through my head. I soon realised that paramedics were a special breed of people, with a unique insight into humankind. We saw every walk of life, from the low socio-economic to the homeless, the mentally impaired, and people on their deathbed with cancer or serious disease. Paramedics seem to have a certain personality and sense of humour that helps them to deal with every patient as if it's just another day at work. Nothing is too big or too difficult for them. I began to learn this behaviour from my colleagues, but it was the black humour I struggled with. It was during these dark and lonely times that I began to write and journal. I was destined to be a healer, but I soon realised that this dream had to lay dormant in order for me to get on with my paramedic life. Although lacking in confidence, I was in no way lacking motivation. A paramedic's job is no way easy. We are the first responders. We see people in their darkest moments, fearful of losing their own life or losing a loved one. With compromising positions of threat and danger at any scene, we put ourselves out there to save lives in more ways than one. I was thankful to be equipped with some very useful coping mechanisms. One, I am a calm person, able to calm myself in any situation. And two, I am bulletproof to most of the emotions of others. Bulletproof to the horrors I see, to death, suffering, suicide. Yet there will always be some jobs that stick with me for life. The very first death I experienced was a 16-year-old teenager who had been riding his bike with his friends. It was late at night and the street was poorly lit. It was a quiet street where no one would have expected to be faced with dangerous traffic. A ute was speeding to overtake 3 vehicles, striking a teenager who was not wearing a helmet. In one swift, unfortunate moment, this child's life ended on impact. When we arrived, I witnessed a lifeless body with a large volume of blood coming from the head. The impact was so great that some brain matter had expelled from his ear. After several minutes attempting to resuscitate the boy, he was pronounced dead by my partner. Seeing the immense sadness and shock on his friends only added to the surreal image before me. I covered the boy with a sheet, and just like that, our job was done. A helpless situation with no chance of restoring life. That was my first big job as a paramedic student. At age 19, I had experienced my first death, my first loss. In 2010, I entered my last year of training. With even greater barriers to overcome, I was overwhelmed. My last placement was demoralizing, and I came to learn of the mentor I would prefer to be. Every day I was looked down upon. I was belittled, told that I needed to be better and have more confidence. Yet my confidence was taken away from me. With no one that believed in me, I turned to friends outside of the service. But they did not understand, for their chosen careers were much different to mine. So I battled through for 6 weeks, studying like anything, but not taking much in, as I was more self-conscious about my skills than ever. Every day I would go to work in fear of not just what job I would be faced with, but how my mentor would react. It was also decided that I should remain in the patient care position for every job, so that I could gain more experience. Instead of doing driving and being ordered, I was in charge of every patient we treated. I also had clinical skills officers breathing down my neck, as they were alerted to the fact that I was struggling. I would be so fearful at work, I would feel nauseous. We were often busy, which meant a lot of caffeine and not much food. These shifts were very tiring, as I would drive 1 hour to work, to start at 6 a.m. for a 12-hour shift, a shift that I was not getting paid for. This was full-time work. That was all part of the university degree. In my days off, I would either be working or studying, with little time to myself and even less time for my beloved Eric. Things did get better in my paramedic world, for during my internship all was turned around. I was paid for the hours I worked, and my mentor was great fun, laid back, and believed in me. I found joy in work. In our downtime we would go out for coffee or food and often meet up with other paramedics. I was working out of Roma Street Station, the centre of Brisbane. Working in the CBD was very busy, often treating 10 patients in a day. Friday and Saturday nights were intense. With so many people getting drunk, there were more injuries and more serious injuries. With back-to-back jobs, we would often not get our meal break until 3 a.m. in the morning. A 1-hour sleep on a night shift was considered lucky. With so many jobs, my skills improved. With a great mentor, my confidence increased, and with friendly people, my joy rose. I still had bad days, when I would doubt my skills and suitability for the job. And I still had so much to learn. In November 2010, I successfully passed 3 scenarios, 4 verbal scenarios, and a multitude of written exams. When I walked out of my last scenario after 3 long days of assessment, I knew I had done it. Against all odds, I passed and graduated with a Bachelor of Health Science, majoring in paramedicine.